Hello, KP. Welcome to my latest right now. I'm absolutely disgusted. Hello, Wayne. Mom of 4 boys. Hello. Little Lone Prepper. Hello. It's been a day and I'm tired. I'm tired and aggravated. So I got a new MacBook Air that I purchased. And it came in Saturday. And today I took it to work. And one of my paraprofessionals that work with me took it out of the box, opened it up, started doing wonderful voodoo to it. Had it working just fine. I'm excited. I bring it home and I can't get it to work with the local Wi-Fi. And I know I have to basically put the password in, but it's not accepting it. It's not, you know. So I'm not an expert with these things. All this stuff was out after I got my last degree. But here it is. It's a nice one. It's 13-inch. Very nice. But it's the paperweight here at home. I couldn't get it to connect, and I tried to do it like 6:30. So I guess I have to play with it some more. And but I could not get it. And it says, if there's an iPhone near, the password for the iPhone, and the iPhone's here, and trying to get the damn thing to, no, 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 no. Hello, Joseph. Worst comes to worst, I'm gonna have to get my kid over, and all the kid has to do is look at something other, and the damn thing works. But I'm very put out. I'm very put out. I was hoping that I could use it for my live stream this evening. I don't know what to tell you. And then Uncle Al will smile at me and he'll say something cheesy, and it's like, but let me. I ordered a case for it. I ordered some extra cords and various things. It comes with a basic charger, and that's it. But and I just can't get it for whatever reason. Would not. So tomorrow, or I'll play with it after I get off my live stream. try to get it working. Enrique, how you doing? I'm working on trying to get another. Hey, worry not, Joseph. I appreciate you, man. Trying to get my crap going. It's disgusting. I'm not a tech person. You know, it's sad that a 10-year-old kid knows more about this stuff than I do, and I've got 2 graduate degrees. But then I got my last degree in '95, and that's the year that the internet came out. I'd already finished 2 graduate degrees, and then the internet came out. So I beg, just not knowing. Yeah, I'm technically challenged when it comes to a lot of that stuff. I have to do a lot of reading. I observe a lot. I've always been blessed being education that we've always had tech support. So there's always some geek, computer geek, we call them, that knows all that crap. I always had access to somebody fairly fast that was able to, you know, do what needed to be done to get me back on, working. But that's where I'm at right now, because I am technically challenged. There are 4 or 5 in the house and 7 or 8 likes. 7 likes, I think. 3 in the house. So I figure I got people frustrated with me. I apologize. But I was hoping to do my live stream tonight on my new MacBook Air. And obviously I'm not doing that, so I apologize again. So what to talk about? Well, there's a lot going on in the press. Let's see. I feel like a damn caveman trying to learn to use AI as a tool. I was born in the 80s, so I was raised when computers and cell phones were not commonplace in people's homes. The AI is insane. Yes. Well, just technology and the development of technology. Most of the things that we have today in our latest forms, they have come out in the last 150 years. So much stuff came out after the end of the Civil War, starting around 1875. Electricity, using electricity, the light bulb, the photographic technique for private photography like Kodak came out around that time. Motion pictures. Using steel or iron in bridges, in building skyscrapers, elevators in skyscrapers. So much came out in the last 150 years, and then it's been accelerating. Um, we had television, ABC, NBC, and CBS. Yeah, you got to get somebody that can help you. And Wayne, I'm twice the caveman you are from the standpoint of feeling like a caveman. Um, but Apple came out in the 70s. Apple computer, and you had the little floppy disks, and then they developed a 3.5 inch that you'd insert. And when you would get a computer, because I bought probably around 19 1992, whenever 93 maybe, I bought a Mac Classic. Looked like a box and had a little screen, and they said they're portable. You know, you had a keyboard, and when you got it, you had a series of discs that you would insert to load up the running software, the drive, and everything, to load up the hard drive. The brain of it. And then if you wanted to save data, you would insert a 3.5 inch floppy that would hold maybe 1.5 million characters. Very limited storage. And you're basically using it for documents, for writing and such. So, you didn't need like the super genius computer to do what you're doing, like education stuff. And when the internet was coming out, hello, buying space. When the internet started coming out, originally it was the government, it was the universities, the public libraries, local, state institutions, government. That's where the internet originally came out. That's where they had it. And then you started having email, electronic mail. And that was like the big craze, electronic mail. And they came out with TNT, Turner Network, and CNN, and it was a cable news network. Cable. People started getting cable TV, so you could watch more channels and more movies and various things. PBS, public broadcasting. But all that's been speeding up, and now they have all this AI, and everything is so much faster. and then you're paying for it. You know, I pay 35 or 40, I'll have to check, 35 or $40. It's all packaged in for my internet. I've got a box, black box, T-Mobile, plugged in. You plug it in to the power, and it sends out a signal, and all my electronic stuff in the house can pick it up. But for some reason, my new my new MacBook Air that I got over the weekend, came in over the weekend. Crap, that's something fell. My MacBook Air. It's not picking it up. And then it says, well, I can use a nearby iPhone to gain access. And I'm trying to get my iPhone to communicate with it, and it's not working. And it said that I took it to school, and my paraprofessional unboxed it. She's a lot younger than I am, technical. She had the thing doing wonders with it. So I came home about 6:30 after cooking supper and eating. I said, okay, let's get this thing going. And then it wasn't online. It was not picking up the internet. No signal. And I went out to where my box is, and I put in the password on the box, and that didn't do it. You know. And usually when I've done that for other, like televisions and such, no problem, picks it up. So I'll have to probably wait until my daughter comes over. And hello, Dave. I'm sorry that you're rattled. I'm rattled too, Myra. We never had cable growing up. My dad just watched the news. I only had cable for 2 years, 07 and 08. Then I shut it off. Haven't had it since. Oh, I heard from one of my friends up in Minnesota today. AK Fabe sent me a communicated with me, and I apologize if you're lurking out there, Fabe. It's just I've been super busy. I apologize I hadn't contacted you. I said I'd contact her when I had a chance, and I hadn't done it yet. Well, I will tell you, I miss back in the day. I had I took 3 newspapers, and I took Newsweek and Time, National Geographic, the Rolling Stone, Spin, Life. I took, I had a certain number, and they would be delivered in my mail. I took the Corpus Christi Caller Times, which was the newspaper in Corpus. I took the San Antonio Express, which was a conservative paper that's from San Antonio, which is the big here. And I took 3 days worth of the Wall Street Journal. I would get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of the Wall Street Journal. I'd usually get it the day after it was printed, so it was a day late. But I would read the editorials, very conservative. I would read because it would, it just like it would. This is what's around the nation, you know. And I felt very informed. I had a set of encyclopedias. Encyclopedia Britannica. And I could look stuff up on Encyclopedia. And there were bookstores. And I would go buy hardcover. A lot of times, like I used to read science fiction and horror, I'd get first editions by the authors. They'd come out and get a hardcover first edition. And I got a bunch of them. And I'm sure they're worth something. But today, I basically just, what do I see on my phone? What do I listen to? Or on my iPad? I check the weather in the morning. I usually text my wife and my daughter what the weather's going to be like for the day. I check the daily press to see, okay, did anything big happen? Did World War III start? What happened? You know. And I get a rundown of the biggest stuff on the news. This occurring. So, last night it was very windy here. The dogs were barking. My wife was at the store. She was 10 o'clock at night, 10:30. She's over at Walmart. And she's worried about me and worried about somebody wanting to break in. And, she tried to contact me. And I had the porch light. We got lights on our front porch. 3 lights spaced out on our front porch. Really, I can light up the front, with all that. And she was saying, well, have your gun ready in case somebody tries to break in, Well, first, they got to get through the dogs. Then second, they got to get through me. And I'm not going to play with them, I'm not going to play with them. Somebody tries to break in my house, won't be pretty. Will not be pretty. And that's you experienced, or your neighborhood, somebody is experiencing SHTF. In other words, SHIT hit the fan. That's a localized SHTF. Localized, Myra. I was telling my wife, I got this little small power station. Real nice one. And sitting right here, and I use it to charge. It's plugged into electricity, but it's got a lithium battery in it. So if the power went out, I could still use it to be charging stuff. And I've got, my daughter has the exact same model. And then we've got 2 larger ones. And then I got a battery bank, lithium iron battery bank out in the kitchen that's plugged into the solar on my patio roof. And I was telling the wife, well, you better pull those out and better check them for charge, and you haven't had them plugged in charging or anything. So you need to, I don't even know where you keep the damn things. They're in her woman cave in there, which I don't usually go into that. Hello, Uncle Al. But I'm probably going to have to. I'm going to have to get somebody who knows a lot more about technology than I do. I'll play with it when I get off the live stream and see if I can get it working. If I'm lucky, I'll get it working. Hello, Idaho Garden Girl. Hello, Lady M. I'm glad you're home, Dave. And I did get your communications, and I will try to get with you. It's like God Almighty, so I don't know what to tell you. Um, I get up in the morning at 5 and I'm running. Yeah, funerals are always sad. Having to attend funerals is always just sad. Uh, so as I'd said, and I'll show you again my new i MacBook Air. Keep wanting to say iPad. This is not an iPad. This is a MacBook Air. It's a new one. Just got it in Saturday. Took it to work today, and my para did her wonders and got it set up with YouTube. Got YouTube and analytics and all the various BS, into it, and worked just fine. Get it home. It's not connecting to my Wi-Fi. I go try to put the password in. Go up to look at the Wi-Fi box and got the password, the Mac in it, put it in. It's not doing what it needs to do. So I'm gonna have to play. And then it says, and if there's an iPhone around that's on the internet, it says, you can use it, password to activate whatever bullshit. Excuse my language. This thing's got, my print where I had to program in my print so that I want to turn it on. I just put my finger down on that little area, and it ding, it comes up, and that's working, but it's not online. So I'm gonna have to play with it, or get my daughter to play with it, or somebody to play with it to get the damn thing working. I'm very frustrated right now. Excuse my language. And I'm sorry you're on a walker. That would not be fun. So, technology, that's something to talk about. That's a subject. Uncle Al's been busy. He didn't give me a topic for today, but my thoughts were basically to talk more about what's going on with the administration. We basically passed, or Uncle Donald Trump, he did an executive order putting a tariff on everybody. And basically what he did was he put a tariff based on them, based on what they put on us. So if somebody's got a tariff on us, he put a tariff on them for the same amount. Like 185 countries, they put tariffs for various things. So he basically gave it back in kind. Supposedly 50 countries right now, 50 of those countries are crying uncle, and they want to do a deal for a deal. And then you've got the mass protests that are still continuing. All of the left-wing nuts in their masses are protesting and raising Cain, and Spartacus, joking nickname of Cory Booker. He had his Spartacus moment, Mr. Spartacus, back in the day. He did a 25-hour, longest in the history of the Senate, 25 hours. And didn't have a damn thing to say, but he did a 25-hour speech. And you got all these protests going on. All the big blue cities and all the nuts are out in force, raising hell. And they're starting, what Trump has been doing is starting to see fruit. And I can just imagine the deep state, which is freaking out. I can just imagine, what they're going through, knowing that changes are coming or being implemented that's going to take their power and it's going to save money and it's going to put a lot of them out of work. And they're just, as I said in Braveheart, Mel Gibson, and he was talking to the men, and somebody started talking about peeing their kilt. The Scottish in their kilts. Pee my kilt every day. I bet you do. They're all peeing their kilts, and protesting in Turkey too. Well, I wonder what they're protesting about. Here's my opinion. If you want to fight a war, it would be an air war. It would be an air war. I would not risk any ground troops. I wouldn't risk the Army, the Marines. I would basically, it would be the Navy and the Air Force. And I would basically take their capital and I would carpet bomb it. I mean, it would be a lunar landscape when I got through. And I would tell them, do you want me to go on to the next city? I mean, I would not risk it. Yeah, I would risk a few pilots. That's what I would risk. I would risk a few pilots. But I would teach them a lesson that way. Because we've got ordnance that conventional. We've got conventional ordnance. That would, you drop one of those, everything that's in a circular mile is gone. And I just drop a few of those on them. I guarantee you, it's like initially like in the 91 war when we wanted to run the Iraqis out of Kuwait. We basically just destroyed their military. We carpet bombed them. We didn't do that to their cities, but like all their bunkers and all where they had all their Republican guards and their troops and everything, we just decimated decimated their armor columns, everything, just their air force, the whole kit and caboodle. We just tore them a new one. And we didn't suffer, the casualties that we would suffer in a ground conflict. I wouldn't risk our boys. I'd basically just bomb them into the Stone Age, which is pretty much where they're at. Yeah, I know. Schwarzkopf wanted to keep going. Belinda's Country Living. Hello, Belinda. Trump is smart enough. Basically, cut off the head of the chicken. That's what he would do. He's not gonna get us bogged down in a land war with Iran, all the mountains and all the tunnels and all the holes in the wall, and it's like going into Afghanistan. They come out and hit you, and then they run back in. They're just trying to bleed us. That's what Iran would wind up doing. They would basically just try to bleed us. So I'd stop that. I'd basically tell them, you either surrender or you don't have a city. You know, you got some cities. You used to have some cities. I'd teach them. I'd teach them. But that's my version of fighting a war. You know, that would be my version of fighting a war. They're having problems over there with the Iranians because they back all these terrorist groups. And so you got the tariffs. You got the tariffs. You got the protests. Interest rates are coming down, which is a good thing. You know, you want to buy a house, let the interest rates come down 1%. And if you buy a $300,000 house, that'll save you close to $300 a month in payment. You know. And every little bit helps. We are importing eggs from Turkey and South Korea right now to make up for the loss of millions of chickens that are not laying eggs until we can get the new generation up and running. And the new generation up and running takes about 6 months. I've got some 6-month-old chickens that are starting to produce eggs now. And I've got an older generation of chickens that are still producing eggs. And I've got a very young generation of chickens that are a couple of months old that'll probably 3-4 months from now start producing eggs. I did a short Mike Crusher reviews. I enjoyed your Canadian. Get it right, David. I've been watching a few different ones. I enjoyed your Canadian ration. And I keep threatening to do a ration review. If you want to see a funny one, go back into the archives. Uncle Al did a ration review. I sent him a couple of MREs as part of a package back in the days. And he did a ration review. And it was a cute one. You know, I enjoyed it. Canadian rations are just moose meat and maple syrup. Well, one of the things that I was surprised about is that the Canadian rations usually have peanut butter from Stone Mountain, Georgia, my ancestral homeland back there. And this one did not have this one did not have the peanut butter from Stone Mountain, Georgia. I guess maybe they're not using that. But one of the reasons why, in my opinion, the Canadian rations are a little bit better than the U.S. rations, that they put a little bit better stuff in it, or that's a little bit, put a little bit more money into the rations, is they don't have near the military that we do, that they have to produce the numbers of rations. They don't produce near the number of rations that we have to produce. So therefore, they can afford to spend a little bit more money on them. The same thing with all these different European countries that are doing, their rations are so, all the wonderful stuff that they put in their rations is because they don't make that many of them. They don't have that many troops. I think the Canadian military is about 40,000, whereas we have something like 1.2 million. So and plus they're basically giving them those when they're out in the field. That's not what they're eating when they're when they're at their base, or when they're, there's a field kitchen or whatever. That's just for when they're deployed and they don't have anything to where they can feed them. That's when they give them the field rations. So I'm liable to cut loose and do a few reviews. It's been a while, but I feel like I need to cut loose and do a few, or I need to do an unboxing and show you what this is, what's in a case A, this is what's in a case B, and I feel like I need to do some ration reviews, as part of preparedness and such. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Uncle Lau. Their military is very small. Their military is very small. The British military has really shrunk up. It's really small. You know, they've got elite troops that are well trained and well equipped. The British do, but they don't have the numbers that they used to have. You like the joke that the British Navy has more admirals than they have ships. It's like, mm, they shot their wad building those two Queen Elizabeth class carriers, those little jump ramp carriers, and then they barely have, and they're unarmed as far as defenses and such, very 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 lightly armed, and so they have to basically, if they're going to go out, they have to basically go out and their frigates and the destroyers and what they have to send several. Well, it's standard that there will be a contingent that goes out to protect a carrier, whether it's our carrier, their carrier, or we're doing joint operations or whatever. But normally, like with us, there'll be at least one cruiser, maybe three or four uh, Burke class destroyers, a hunter killer, a sub, nuclear powered hunter killer sub, um, probably a refueling ship or a supply ship that goes with them, and they have like an escort. It's their escort that protects them, and the British are the same way. You know. Yeah, and that is true. We do take care of buying space. Take care of buying space. She's an hour, so like it's like 7:45. She's like 8:45 where she's at. It's like an hour later. She's in Florida. Take care. Yeah. Um. Golly, jeez. Uh. Take Germany. They are the least of they're the powerhouse. Their economy had been the powerhouse of Europe, and they, I think, divested themselves of a good number of their tanks. They sold them. They have very 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 small navy. They have a few submarines. They have a few frigates slash corvettes. They don't have anything bigger. They're not. They're using, I think, the Typhoon fighter. They don't want to buy into the F-35s. Um, that the troop wise, their men are good quality. They get trained, but there's not that many of them. You know, Poland's military, they're spending a lot more money. Their military is a lot bigger than Germany's. Poland is. And Poland hates Russia, because all the grief that they had when they were under the Russians, Eastern Bloc and Warsaw Pact and all that crap after World War II. Remember, when they got started World War II, what happened? The Germans invaded from the west and the Russians invaded from the east when they had that pact, that peace pact. So the Russians went in and got part of Poland to begin with. So they hate them. They hate the Russians. They're a lot more conservative. And the socialists are running Germany right now. The socialists are running Germany. Sad thing. I know you are, Little on Prepper. I know you're an hour later. A lot of y'all are over on the East Coast. Yeah, I hear you. For one thing, uh, if Russia got into it with NATO, I I foresee the Russians using tactical nukes because they couldn't handle it. It's everything they can right now in Ukraine. It's a stalemate in Ukraine. I really would see them using tactical nukes. Battlefield, small 1-2 kiloton tactical nukes. Because God help them, they would be having a hell of a time trying to maintain air superiority over their own territory if they could. And Putin's crazy enough that he'd use nukes. He's crazy enough. I keep expecting to wake up and check the news, and it says, "Oh, World War III, here we go." World War III. The damn warmongers. That's what I expect to see. Yeah, you know the Europeans have got Trump pissed off. He's telling them. He's telling them. The vice president went over there and told them. You know, they're not taking. We're carrying their water for them. They're just like, it's like we're, and then they're all the shit that they're doing with trying to keep us from sending in our products and everything and the tariffs and all, and like just just crapping all over us. And now here Trump is like, you're not going to pull that crap. They're freaking out. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. He's not playing with them. And I really tell you, if something happens to Trump, J.D. Vance is going to be worse than Trump. He would be worse than Trump with them. And all the Democrats can do is just cuss and raise Cain and, just, they're basically just trying to get their base up and running. They don't know what to do. They don't have power over anything. And the Supreme Court basically issued a blockage saying all this little district court stuff where you're going to try to stop the country from operating ain't going. They told me ain't going. So Amy Coney Barrett stood up with the other four. And then you got the Chief Justice, right there with the liberals. He's a big disappointment. He really is. He was appointed by Bush. Good night, Mike. Thank you for coming. Yeah, no, the Democrat, the Summer of Love, 2.5 Texas edition. Yep, I know. It is what it is. Oh, little old prepper, you're awesome. That woman takes care of business like my wife. Like my wife, she takes care of business. So, 7 in the house, 14, 15 likes. I do apologize that I wasn't able to use my MacBook Air. I'll try to get it straightened out so that my next live stream. Yeah, the wards are going nuts up there. All the liberals up in Houston are just, which is a basically liberal bastion. Putin, they were threatening to hit 7 or 8 of our largest cities. If they hit 7 or 8 of our largest cities, the Democrats would never win another election because you'd basically be wiping out all their voters, or a good chunk of their voters. You know. I used to be real good with. I've learned construction, so I could do plumbing, I could do electrical, I could frame, rebuild stuff. I used to own rental property. I inherited rental property. I took care of it from my aunt before I inherited several houses, duplexes. I used to do all that maintenance. I had a guy that taught me all that stuff, and I learned how to do that. So like remodeling, and I used to do all that stuff when I was younger. I don't do that now. I don't physical stuff. I do very little physical stuff now. I don't have the endurance to do that kind of stuff now. So, but it's pretty quiet where I'm at. They had their protest. They got a certain number of folks together along Navarro out by HEB Plus and that little shopping center along there, and they lined up along the street with their little signs and their little banners and their Mexican flags and the gay pride flag, and they did their little protests. And I would have never known it because I didn't go down that way Saturday. I wasn't anywhere near them Saturday. You know. But there are other places and they're still raising Cain. They have been identifying some of the nuts that were attacking the Tesla places. And they have arrested and they're charging and they're planning on going for 20 years. Terrorism, you know. Nuts. Nuts. And they're rounding up and they're deporting people. And those liberals and their judges and their ACLU, they're just crying. They're crying about it. I kid you not, they're crying. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. The nuts are out in force. So are you prepared? I have another water video that I'm going to be releasing. You know. And in it I talk about you need a gallon a day per person. Half a gallon is for consumption. And the other half is for cleaning, hygiene, brushing your teeth, washing your face, washing your hands. And we're not talking about showering. If you're using a shower, well, those portable showers, you need at least 3 gallons for that. And I buy the 3 gallon because they're like 24 pounds when they're full of water. I buy the 3 gallon jugs that are stackable, and I stack them 4 high. So each stack is 12 gallons. And then you can refill the gallon jugs that you buy. You can refill those. And you need to anticipate, well, do I want a week's worth? Well, if I want a week's worth, I need 7 gallons of water for each person. So if there's 4 of y'all, you need 28 gallons of water for a week. So you got to do the math. What is it you need? And it's not expensive. You know, right now, a gallon of water is going to run me about $1.30, $1.35. You go over to Walmart, you go over to Aldi. It's going up. It used to be under $1. You know, I can remember when it was a quarter. But so you need a means to filter water, purify water. Whether you're talking purification tablets or you've got some sort of filter or whatever, you need to be able to do that. You need to have a clean source of water. You need to have, you know, I would boil it. Anything that I would boil it, and then I would find a way to filter it. Very important. Muy importante. Very important. Good help is hard to find. Yeah, Uncle Al says get a cattle tank. Yeah. So, you know, things are what they are. It is what it is. I will say that it is what it is. Cattle tank, I'd pay good money to see cattle driving a tank. Take care, Stephanie. Thank you for coming. So, will I be back tomorrow? I don't know. I'm gonna go look at a travel trailer tomorrow, and I may be buying my travel trailer for my wife. It'll be a surprise. She's on me. She maybe promised to buy her a travel trailer. I'm gonna go look at and see what I can find before I actually take her over and say this is what we're buying. I was talking to a guy today that I called that I was looking online. They've got a travel trailer place over on the highway bypass going to Houston. And they've got about 60 different trailers over there. So I'm going to go see what I can find. I'm looking to get something new, around 20 feet. And they still got a bunch of 24s that they're trying to get rid of, marked down. So I'm probably going to go over there and see about getting one of those. I want something that I can pull with my Jimmy until I break down and get a new truck. Right now, I do not want a truck payment. And They're just outrageous. Interest prices are coming down a little bit. So hopefully I'll do a good deal. You put 10% down and your payments are a lot less. I can get something for about $150 a month, which is what I will probably do. Take care, Uncle Al. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. Well, it's been about an hour, and I will post what I'm going to do. I put up the price of eggs at Walmart. I've got one from Audi. I'm going to put that one up tonight. Please go over and look at it and give it a like. But I'm giving you prices on stuff. And I just had Canva pop up. Take care, Wayne. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate y'all coming in. And hopefully we'll see you again real soon for another coffee talk. God bless. Bye.